All right, so to start with, I decided to just put a O4 Pro on this guy because this is my speed demon, right? I really liked the O3 when it was on it, but the main reason I switched to the O4 is really because, one, I just wanted the better image quality when I'm driving, but two, is because over time this thing would develop these little jitters, and I think it was on the yaw. Um, there was a lot that went into that. I did a lot of things to try to get rid of it, but I noticed that over time, it just kind of depended on the spot the car was sitting in at the time, how far away it was, things like that. I would get this real annoying slight jitter side to side, and I could deal with it, but it was something that just got so annoying. I'm like, man, let me just go to the O4, right? Right before actually putting it on and removing the O3, though, after I had already bought the gimbal, I realized that I could really get around that issue by just putting the yaw on channel 7. Can't really explain why that is with this particular combo of stuff I'm using: diversity crossfire receiver, a particular radio link controller, but just by putting the yaw on channel 7, I seem to avoid a lot of those problems, right? So that's what I did. I would imagine I wouldn't really have the same problem on the O3 anymore, but now I've got the O4 on it. So whatever. But there's a few things that I guess are upside with that, either way you look at it. For one, I'm happy that I was able to get this set up so it works just as good as the O3 did on the gimbal. I just get all the upsides that come with the O4, and also just a little easier to deal with as far as the O4 goes in general. So yeah, that's this setup just being tested out. So the first thing that I tested was basically this same setup, except not hard mounting the gimbal. It was just using the shock absorbers. They're a lot bigger and beefier, the ones they give you with this O4 Pro version, which is really just, they're using a pass through O4 cable, got a little bracket for this different camera adapter, and then yeah, those bigger shock absorbers, right? But again, just those alone gave me problems. And then when I switched over to just kind of cinching them down real tight, that's when all my problems went away and it worked pretty much perfect. All right, and this is basically how I did the rear camera. So you see I basically got this little lens right there. Little lens I'm using just came off one of these little eye loops. It's a 10x. So a little glass lens, but yeah, that allows me to see that clearly. And you know, it's not like really in the way. If I tilt the camera down a little bit, then I get more of like the whole view of the screen. But if I just look, you know, naturally straight up, get a little bit of it towards the bottom, but it doesn't like block my view, right? And then you can see, I'm not 100% if I really need all this counterweight. I'm fairly positive that I do though, so I'm not going to try it to see how it works without it. But let's just say my first test was with just a little spacers there, the shock absorbers. I had them loosely fitted, so that was the only way this was held on, so it would kind of jiggle around a little bit. And just these counterweights, and it didn't work well. That's mainly because, you know, you really have to solid mount this thing. If you mount it, I'm still using them, right? But I'm just using those as sort of like a compression fit as I tighten them down real tight with little zip ties, right? If you just use those alone and the thing jiggles around, then it's going to give the gimbal problems. Those are really mainly for like absorbing much higher frequency vibrations on drones that'll give you like the jello stuff, right? So from, you know, prop spinning. But this, from all my experience, you really have to solid mount them and let the gimbal do its thing without introducing all this weird, you know, random jigglies and vibrations you'll get from a car. But yeah, that's basically how it worked out. All right, here's the firmware I'm using. You know, you just go to the HEQ webpage, go down to G-Port Gimbal. For me, I don't have Chinese, but just kind of scroll through here. I think it's this one. Go down, you pick the G-Port Gimbal, and then it's going to be this one right here. So really what you can do is just to show, you know, a little translate. This is just saying, you know, it's fixed some stuff, blah, blah, blah. But this is the latest one. So you download that and then use the latest gimbal app to connect to your gimbal. One of these is going to have the app. Honestly, I can't remember which one it is. Actually, yeah, so this is the one I use, 1.0.0.f. So if you go download that one from, you know, 724, then it's going to have a zip file and it's going to have the G-Port application in it that you can use to update the firmware.